What up? What up? Welcome into another episode of Profit Picks. If you are new, we always start this show by being transparent. And yesterday, it was a nice 2-0 day for myself. The Mavericks plus the 4.5, and the Mavericks team total over 101.5. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. So, back on track. Veno, did you get there with the team total over? And how was your day yesterday?
Yep, it was 1-0 Skee. That's the only play I had was team total over 101.5. I think the talk here yesterday kind of pushed me over the edge to go play that. Thankful I did. Plus 49.3 units since April the 1st. So still rolling since that point in time. It's about 7 weeks now. NBA playoffs, like we always say, Skee, if we knew that they cared every single game, it'd be a little easier to handicap these.
Yeah, I'll have an island by now.
I've seen pictures of you on the island. You like that place.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking through the chat here, Rob. That is sky blue? No, not
Yes, that does get it.
it's
Light blue, sky
Okay.
blue is how we have it listed.
Okay, so he learned his lesson. I think this is the same person who said Carolina blue last time and didn't win. So that's his lucky color, his lucky guess. He's going with sky blue today. And I believe that's Austin. Hit me up. You are the winner for today. You'll get some free lunch. So appreciate everybody for their guesses. And shout out to Austin for being a winner. Eddie Cash, appreciate you becoming a YouTube member. And he just won, I believe, if not yesterday, the day before. So he's putting that. He had some lunch, but he saved a little bit to become a member. Appreciate you, Eddie Cash. And he says, I'm back at level 2. Let's get it. Appreciate you. Looking through a couple more comments before we get started. Ray D'Amico reminding everybody to hit the like button for the show. Absolutely helps us out. And what up, S. Dot? That was another winner this week. Oh, S. Dot won yesterday. So
Yes.
it was S. Dot yesterday, and must have been Eddie on Tuesday. So all the winners here in the chat today. See if we can get some basketball winners. I don't want to skip over all the comments. A lot of people took the time. There we go. This is some of the ones we're looking for.
Yeah.
Skee 12 minutes late plus 100. Only even money. And I think he was correct too. I think it was 12 minutes on the dot. All right, let's get to it. We got 3 WNBA games. And before we start, I'm going to be honest and say I'm not fully locked into WNBA yet. Yeah, I played a few games. Almost every team has had the 3 games that I'd like for them to play. But I'm NBA playoffs. I've said it before in previous years. Like, I watch these games more than one time. I listen to everybody talk, and it takes a lot of time to do all those things. So the NBA playoffs is winding down. Maybe once it gets to not a game every single day, I'll have more time to really really dig deep into WNBA. But I am gonna get to it. Like I said, 3 games on the slate. If I can pull up a banner. First game up is Lynx and Connecticut Sun. Opened up Sun minus 6.5, and it looks like 6 pretty much everywhere. There's a 5, there's a 5.5, so it's all over the place depending on what you like. Total open 165 and it's down 3 points, 162. Injury report. You have Rachel Banham, game time decision here for Connecticut. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure Connecticut eliminated Minnesota last year. And then looking at that, I believe these are 2 of the 3 undefeated teams left so far this season. So both teams playing well. This is a very tough game for me. The way I'll say is it's hard for me the way Minnesota's playing right now and just having that revenge angle to not want to take the 6 points with them. Let me lean on, you know what? I had the light bulb go off. It's time. I need to lean on my guy, RC, and his website. So shout out to the Money Baller. I didn't get to do all my work, and he's going to help me out here. You have the Sun, well rested, 2 or more days rest, and you have the Lynx. Let me see. It says they should have 4+ days rest, and I just want to verify here. feel like I saw him play, but maybe I'm mistaken. No, they've only played 2 games so far. Their last game was versus Storm on the 17th in a double overtime game. So we always have the discussion: is it rust or rest? I mean, they've had 12 days off. The Sun are rested too. They've had at least 2 days off, even though they're at the rest disadvantage. I don't know. I'm kind of conflicted here, Vino. Do you have any opinion on this game?
Yeah, it's hard because the only 2 games Minnesota played. First of all, obviously the scheduling that you just mentioned, the 6 days off as opposed to Connecticut. I think they were on the road at Indiana last time out, so a little bit of travel, not much, same time zone. It's Minnesota. You worry about rest or rust. And the 2 games they played were against Seattle. And we're not so sure about Seattle yet, right? Seattle hasn't had their full complement back. I think NECA came back last night and played 36 minutes or thereabouts. And it probably takes a little bit of time for them to get her back into the lineup and get rolling with any type of cohesion. It's a new starting lineup for that team. So it's hard to gauge Minnesota. I'm going to repeat that down the line here when we talk about another game where it's hard to gauge because they've had a lot of these, back-to-back game matchups and now going off to play somebody else. Connecticut's a beast in my estimation. And it could be difficult for Minnesota. But again, it's really, really hard for me to gauge the Lynx at this point in time, not having seen them play anybody except for Seattle, which, like we say, is probably not into the form that they'll be midseason. Power ratings indicate to me, Skee, that Connecticut should have opened up 6.5 here. It's about where they did open, and we've seen, as you mentioned, some movement, not everywhere, but in a couple of places, and maybe one real key one down to 5.5. So interesting game. Total has taken a beating here down to 161, and I probably could see that more than anything. But again, I don't really know how to rate Minnesota from any angle, only having played Seattle, the only team they played all season long.
Yeah, people are in agreement with that under. Some people grabbed it early. Some people still liking it at the current number, and I could see it. I agree with you. What you just said. It's hard to know what the Lynx really are right now. Both teams though have been playing solid defense to start the year. I do know Sun are a great defensive team, regardless of anything else. And the Lynx, I feel like they can keep that up. Opposites here, pace 11th and first so far this season. I don't know. I'm just a little bit too conflicted. I'll just say if I have to put my money on something in this game, it would be with the road dog who has some playoff revenge here. And I know we talked about rest versus rest, but they still got the rest advantage. So lean Lynx for me. And unless you have anything else, we can move on over to the next one.
Let's move it on.
UCapper says he can only look towards the under. Lynx pace is misleading because they played both games against the Storm. Yeah, that's why I'm still a little bit unsure there, but I agree. I do lean towards the under too. Next game we have Sky and Liberty. Opened up Liberty minus 15.5. Looks like 16 right now. Total has gone up about. I mean, it's different at different shops. I see it open 165.5. Most shops have 166.5, but one shop has 168. So again, make sure you line shop. In the Sky, looks like another team who hasn't played in a while. 4+ days rest, and then you have the Liberty. They've had 2 days rest, but not too much. I think it's 2 days rest for them. So Vino, I'll come to you first. Liberty and Sky. Do you think it's too many points in this one for the top team so far, or one of the top teams so far?
The first thing I'll comment on, Skee, is what you just talked about coming from one of the leading indicator sports books out there, offshores. That move has gone from 164 at Eastern time, 9:43 this morning, all the way to 168 now, where total is concerned. A 4-point move in about 4 hours, which is interesting coming from that particular shop. So obviously a lot of money on the over in this game. Again, Chicago's played 2 games, right? Or excuse me, they played back-to-backs, both against Dallas, which Dallas, as we noted, missing 2 of their best players. It's tough to tell what the Sky is at this point in time. I think we know New York, offensive-minded, can certainly score on anybody. I was, considering plus 16 here, Skee, just thought that, in New York, and it's a small sample size, right? We haven't seen an awful lot yet, but it does seem to me that they kind of go in and out with their play. Sometime, I don't want to call it reckless, but sometimes complacent, and other times on the gas pedal. And I don't know that you get 4 quarters of gas pedal out of this team in a game where they're favored by 16. I think Chicago's got a little bit of fight in them. Again, they're tough to gauge because they've had 2 against Dallas, and Dallas is certainly shorthanded. But 16 just seemed like an awful lot. The total is what's becoming intriguing to me because I can't figure out why there's been such a mad rush to the over. But perhaps need to look into that a little bit further. I know New York can score on anybody, and perhaps I don't see anything in the form of injury or return to lineup that would cause that. So certainly somebody's playing this based off of fundamentals, which could be the case here. New York certainly can score.
Derek is asking, he says Chicago beat New York by 40 in the preseason. Such a thing as preseason revenge. I don't think I'm putting too much into preseason revenge. Do you?
I wouldn't because and not knowing how that game went, not knowing who New York played in that particular game, if starters sat and it was just a basic exhibition, I'm not sure, but I wouldn't put too much into it.
You know what's surprising to me here? I think of the Liberty as a team that wants to get up and down. I do also, I mean, I said it before the season that they do lose some pace without Johannes this year, but they're currently, they're 9th in pace in the league, and that is not who I would expect the Liberty to be. Skee are playing a little bit more up tempo at 4th. Both teams top 3 defensive rated teams so far this season. One thing I'll say is outside of that extra long rest for Chicago, I usually like to play on underdogs who just won their last game. Like if you have a team who is not expected to be good and coming off of a win, that means they're playing good right now, and the books maybe haven't caught up to it yet. So with that said, I'll lean towards Chicago plus the 16 points, maybe just a little bit much for New York to lay. Let's see. And UCapper says, in a huge way, not sure I trust Liberty's defense. He thinks they'll bounce back offensively, though. Not a whole lot. People like an Angel Reese tonight. And UCapper continues, says, Liberty had motivation in the last 3 games. I don't see much motivation to play D in this game. If you're not playing defense, how are you going to cover 16 points?
Mm-hmm.
So that makes me like Chicago even a little bit more. Skee up there on my short list for today. All right, last one for tonight. We have Mystics and Mercury. Mercury opened 5.5-point favorites. They're up to 7, and the total has increased 2 points to 163.5. Shakira Austin is game time decision, but she's probable. I think she'll be out there. She's been listed like that every game. Dee Richards, same deal. She's probable. They'll be without Brittany Sykes, and we know the Mercury still don't have Brittany Griner back yet. The Mercury do have Kalia Copper, though. She's been lighting it up. Past 2 games, but she have 30-something pieces in each game. Like, I don't know. She's going crazy right now, and I don't see any of those guards on the opposing side checking her for Washington. Between that, and then you have Natasha Cloud going against her old squad, I think, the team will come to play. They'll want to play good for her, etc. I'm gonna double check with the numbers while I pass it to you, Rob. But I want to either look towards the Mercury or Mercury team total over. In my mind, I want to think of the Mystics as continuing to be a good defensive team, but I feel like Phoenix can score on them. How do you feel?
Yeah, here's one where I do have. I guess we call it now stand up straight, right? Ski, let's stand up straight here with this. Let's not lean. And I haven't played, at least not for clients this season. I haven't played a WNBA game, but I'm playing here, and I took over in this particular contest. The Phoenix Mercury are, and I know you have pace ratings. You can help me out there, but they are scoring the basketball. 80 points, 88 points, 98 points. 2 of those against Las Vegas.
They're third
Very
place,
impressive. Yeah. Okay. So they're up and down the floor. I know Washington is not that, but Washington is in the second of a West Coast road trip here. Excuse me. Yeah, second of a West Coast road trip. And they've given up 80 or more in 3 of their 4 games. There's no reason to think, to your point about Mercury team total, there's no reason to think they can't score. And the Mercury are not the greatest defensive team going at this point in time. I thought 163.5 was a little bit low. If this thing had come closer to, the high 160s, maybe I wouldn't have jumped as quickly as I did. Obviously, money came in on this particular play on the total. So I think over is a really good spot here, Skee. You talked about Copper. She did have 37 the other night. And to me, just watching the only 2 games I've seen the Mercury were the 2 against Las Vegas, and they look pretty good, and they're not afraid to push the ball. So maybe you get a little bit of a tired Washington defense. I'm not sure you're tired this time of season, only 5 games in. But to that point, Phoenix scores, the other side allows, and Phoenix not being the greatest defensive team. I feel like all Washington has to do here to get this thing up and over is probably find the 75-point range, which I think is possible against this defense. So they've done that 3 of their 4 games already. I think over 163.5 is the play, and it's my first WNBA play of the season, so hopefully it comes through.
163.5, right?
That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I think that's a solid play. UCapper says he's also with that. Just looking over some numbers here. Pace-wise, we talked about the Mercury. They're third. Mystics, still a team that doesn't prefer to play up tempo, but Phoenix at home here can probably control the pace. Mercury, like UCapper mentioned, I think in the chat, second worst defensive team, and Mystics top 5. So they are that same defensive team that I was, that I have in my head. The Mystics offense, though, dead last. And that's what I think when I see this roster. It's like, who do I really trust to score the ball? I do trust Ariel Atkins, but I don't know who I really trust to score the ball for Washington. I trust everybody for the Mercury. So that makes me think Mercury team total. Also, another thing I'm looking at here. My bad. Corner 3. I was trying to look at 3-point ratings. Maybe I missed it, but I see the Mercury playing with pace, taking a lot of threes, just like they did versus the Aces. And I think they can score the 85.5. That's their team total for tonight. Like how I'm always saying, as much as I like the Mercury tonight, how can I really expect them to win by this many possessions when I can't trust them to get stops? So maybe the poor offense tonight for the Mystics will allow them to get those stops. But my preference is Mercury team total over 85.5. I think is the best number I'm seeing currently. UCapper says Ariel Atkins and Shakira Austin can do enough to get this over. So he's trusting those 2. I mean, I trust Atkins. I love Shakira Austin too. I don't know. It makes me nervous. Derek asks, what is that Phoenix team total? He says he likes it over. Anything under 85 seems like a play. Well, we got 85.5. I'm going to look at one more thing here, Rob. But you clearly, just like UCapper, trust this Washington offense as well.
Well, and I think it's the mistrust of the Phoenix defense, like you mentioned, too. It seems like even if you're a bad offense, you can score on those guys. So those women, excuse me. Yeah, I think that's more where I stand as a mistrust of the Phoenix defense. Just a team that wants to outscore you. And what I saw of their offense against Las Vegas, who is still, it's a defending champion. It's a good defensive team. They look pretty good scoring the basketball.
Yeah, I hear you on that. I'm curious. I just want to check. What is the Sparks defensive rating so far? Sparks defensive rating is 5th. So that could be it. They're finally going to play a soft defense. They did play the Sun, Liberty, Storm. Storm been playing good defense. I guess I got to make some decisions there. Right now, I'm not standing up straight yet, but I'm going to get there at some point today. Phoenix team total, full game over, one of the 2 for myself.
And with that, Skee, real quick, just to cap it off, with the better defenses that Washington has played heading into this, will probably be the softest defense they've played. They have scored 75 or more 3 times already against better defenses, which would lead me to believe that, like I said, earlier. I think they need to get into that range to get this thing over, and I think they will.
All right, good stuff on the WNBA. You Capper says Skee got scoliosis. I'm definitely leaning today. Antonio says drink some water. I got it right here. I did, full transparency. When I was cashing those tickets last night, I was hitting that bar. So I do need to drink some water this morning. And Hank says Skee need a back brace. He keep leaning. All right, let's get over to the NBA. And I'm very interested, I really want to talk about this game. I couldn't wait to talk about it with you, Veno. I think I know what your play is also, by the way. But we got the Pacers and the Celtics. It's right where it opened. It opened 8.5. Line is sitting at 8.5. Total open 225. Half a point moved down to 224.5. And I think everybody who was out there is going to be available. Still on the women's injury report, but I didn't see any injuries during that game. So I'll let you go first. I got a comment yesterday, Rob. I keep passing it to you first. They said, he said, Mister, I agree with Skee. Why don't you let the guy go first sometimes? Damn. I'm like, okay, my bad.
Well, nothing wrong with agreeing if we're both having the records that we have right now. More agreeing, I think, out of us. We don't do it intentionally, but there's, one or two games each and every day, and thought process can be the same from the two of us. We've handicapped these games together for 4+ years now. So let's go here, Skee, because I was going to say to you, I'm interested to see where you land here. I had to do this game this morning for Wagertalk NBA tip-off morning show, and I came down to 2 plays. I do like them both. I prefer one a little bit better than the other.
And I know what it is for sure now.
They're both first half plays.
Oh, never mind.
Both first half plays. I took the one I prefer the most is Boston's team total over 60 in the first half.
Okay.
Boston during the playoffs, 7 home games so far in the playoffs, 60.6 on average. They've come out strong in almost every game at home offensively, 64 in the first game here against Indiana. We need to get to 61. They're 60 plus in 4 of the 7. They're 58 plus in 6 of the 7. And I always have to remind myself that when you score 58 against Cleveland, that might as well be 65 against Indiana. Pace is quicker, defense is worse. So 58 kind of correlates to 65 in my mind when we're comparing Cleveland and Indiana defensively. They did score 60-plus points at home 3 times, all 3 games against Miami, who really goes slow. So to me, the pace is still going to be there. I'm going to trust Tyrese Halliburton until there's reason to distrust him. And what he keeps telling me every round is, we believe we can win the NBA Finals this way. We're going to run. We're going to run. And they showed, you know what, Skee? I think they're comfortable against this team. We're going to find out tonight for sure. But I think Indiana feels like they can score on Boston. I think Boston feels like we don't have to really do too much. We'll try and play a little more defense. But we know we can score on those guys, and we're going to get the chances as well. So if I just get back to Boston first half over 60 real quick here. First half this season, Boston, the highest scoring first half team in the NBA, 62.5 points per game. At home, they were number 2, scoring 62.8. Those numbers are all great. And as far as second quarter led me, the other night I was looking, and TJ McConnell and Obi Toppin coming off the bench at 6 and 7 scored 20 points against Peyton Pritchard and Luke Cornett. But those 2 guys got 13 as well. So the second quarters I had an interest in. So I looked it up. Boston and Indiana were the top 2 second quarter scoring teams in the NBA this season, which again puts me back to first half. I thought this number was a little bit low for Boston. I kind of trust them to have somewhat of a wake-up call after game 1 and put up over 60 points. The other half of this, Skee, and the other play that I had here, obviously, the way I'm talking, you can tell would be first half over 115, because I feel like Indiana is going to do their part as well. They've had what the concern with Indiana would be their 3 worst offensive games. Their 3 worst offensive first halves were all on the road. But I kind of dismissed them for the 42 and the 48 they put up against Milwaukee. That was their very first game in the playoffs in Milwaukee. And it was the series clincher, game 5. 2 games where they really had no experience knowing what they're doing. I think they've got enough games under their belt now to where that doesn't happen again for them. So take it for what it's worth. I like them both. I like Boston team total over 60 first half. I like the first half total over 115, and think they can both cash here. If I didn't have that slight reservation about Indiana's shooting percentage coming down a little bit, because it's been crazy how good they've shot, I would have played them both the same. But there's not much difference in those 2 plays for me.
So first half over 60, was it for Celtics?
Boston team total, yeah, 60.
So first thing that comes to my mind there is, I think Boston, after that last game, like, they played Indiana style and they didn't shoot well. They shot 33% from the field, and they still made it, they made it over their team total for 1, but they still won the game. So them just saying, we can play their game and we can beat them at their game, I don't think it's too much. Let's try to slow the game down. It's just let's continue to take smart shots, which Mazzulla talked about. And I don't know. I just feel like they're comfortable playing however the game goes. The another thing I want to mention before I forget, Mazzulla was asked about maybe the lineup and maybe putting Tatum at center because of how many guys, or the different lineups that the Pacers put out there that are smaller and faster. And Mazzulla said like he's not opposed to that. It could be something that they go to. And if Tatum's at center, I mean, that's good for scoring for both of these teams.
Mm-hmm.
So I look at that. You mentioned that you want to trust Halliburton. You want to trust Halliburton, and I'm gonna trust him too. I listened to him talk. He said a few things. He said it all throughout the playoffs. I've heard him, throughout every series. But he recently said, in the fourth quarter, I thought we slowed down too much. Not getting up and down, and we got to continue to play with that pace for 48 minutes, and good things usually happen. We know after misses. He continued, and he just said, I still think running on their makes is the biggest thing, honestly. Like when you start to slow down, they're so elite at the point of attack on defense. And he was talking about Drew and Derek Wright right there. He says they can angle you and send you, where they want you to go. But the more you're flying up and down the floor, he says it's human nature when guys make a shot that they'll relax or celebrate, and they want to be pushing the ball. So off a miss, they want to push. Off turnovers, they want to push. Off opponents' makes, they want to push. It sounds like run, and gun. And they know that's the only chance. That's their identity. That's the only way they're going to win this game. So I know for sure the Pacers will push the pace, and I think the Celtics will be fine with that too. And I think that the Celtics will shoot better than 33% from 3. I mean, they shot 33%. I think the Pacers shot 37%. And this game still landed in like the 230s before overtime. So if both teams shoot a little bit better, this one should go over 224.5. And I'm in agreement. I mean, I probably like the full game a little bit more just because, like Hallie is saying, we're not going to slow down in the fourth quarter this time. And they're giving you a number where it's shaded towards the first half with that 115.5. So I think both can go over, whether it's first half or full game. Side-wise, it's just, I'll tell you this. I feel like whatever it is, whether it's the line that was set right there or this game is, like, if I just look at the number and look at the line and what's going on, I feel like it's telling me that the Celtics are going to win by margin tonight. But it's no way I trust them to do that. The Pacers have shown that they're not going to give up, and I just feel like they can compete with this team. Like you said, they're comfortable playing against this team. They played them a lot of times this season. 8.5 points is a hell of a lot. I can't do it with Boston. Do you have an opinion side on this one? I'm assuming it's the Celtics since you like their team total.
Well, and I tried, honestly, Skee, I tried to get there with Celtics first quarter, Celtics first half. First quarter was -3, first half was -5. And I'm just not I could make enough case to play Boston, but not enough case to go ahead and bet it, because the other side of the coin is Indiana. And there's two ways to look at this. I mean, one way would be Indiana's deflated because they gave one away, and Boston got a wake-up call, and they're going to come out and storm this team. Or the Pacers are really as good as Boston at this style without Porzingis in the lineup. And I can make that case as well. The Pacers may just be as good at Boston as Boston in a running contest, in a 94-foot style game. So it stops me from playing Boston laying points at all. Indiana's been beaten by margin a couple times in the playoffs. That sort of scares me, but Boston hasn't won by margin. In fact, in game twos at home, they've been miserable. This series is kind of a reversal because they won the first two series, game ones, really comfortably, and they barely squeaked by in this particular series. So many conflicting arguments for me where side was concerned. I decided points are the sure thing, at least in my mind here. I mean, if I go even further, Indiana team total is still sitting at 107.5. Are we crazy? Why don't we just play over
I thought about that
107.5?
when I was at the casino last night. I'm telling my friend, I'm like, Indiana's scoring 108 tomorrow. Like, they've scored that damn near every game.
They would have to go ice cold and bricklay because you get a zillion chances. And when we were on with Kyle the other day, Kyle was pointing out some defensive assets for both sides. Indiana against three-pointers, Boston with elite defenders. And I mean, my counter to that is exactly what you were saying. My counter to that day was, this is a broken floor game. It's an open space game. And when you can't set defense, all those statistics go out the window. Unless if you're telling me that Boston's going to be able to come back and get their half-court defense set up against Indiana, and even still, at that point, Indiana's ball motion offensively is so good. Their assists are always up and over 30 assists. They pass the ball. They don't dribble the ball. But those defensive statistics, I think, go out the window in this particular matchup. So to me, Skee, the more solid thing is to find some way. And I could find more than two ways. I mean, I only gave you two ways. I guarantee I'm going to be involved in more than two ways with the total here, in some fashion. So I see it as high score until we're proven wrong. And until Tyrese Halliburton is, it seems like a crusade. I don't know how you feel about this, but it seems like that team is on a personal mission to show the NBA that you can win this way nowadays. This is not old school. You have to win the finals with great defense. The Warriors kind of proved you could win with offense, but they were a good defensive team as well. Indiana's not. They're just trying to outscore you. And I think we're going to see points again in this game. We'll see.
So we're in agreement there. Last thing I'll say is the one thing Boston did to slow Indiana down and give them a little bit of trouble was go to that zone. As soon as they went in the zone, Boston went on a run. As soon as they went out of the zone, Indiana went right back to scoring. So unless they play zone the entire game, I see Indiana having a lot of success. And even if they go back to the zone, I mean, Indiana and the good coach that Rick Carlisle is, he should have his team prepared for better offense this time around. And the line did just get bumped to 9. So, or a shop got bumped to 9, not everywhere. So we'll see where this one ends. But I like that we agree, at least on a couple things. So I know we'll agree when it comes to this segment. Best bets. So we've been on here, 34 minutes, talk 3 WNBA games, the NBA game for tonight. Veno, is there anything you would like to promote? And maybe one of those two plays you like a little bit more than the other.
Let's go ahead and promote Wagertalk.com. Wagertalk, for those of you watching who haven't heard me say it before, all you have to do is go to that website, Wagertalk.com, put in your email address. You get instant free access to all the video content that they produce each and every day. I think that they have a Major League Baseball show going on right now. They do baseball, hockey. There's a team of like 30 analysts, including myself and Skee, over there. I did NBA morning show. There's an NBA afternoon show. So if you're betting more than just NBA, you can certainly find information to help with your selections over there at wagertalk.com. If you're interested in selection packages, mine are always up and available. It's been a good run since April the 1st, almost up 50 units in the NBA since that point in time. And as Skee always says, the link to my page at wagertalk.com is in the description. So go ahead and follow if you like, if you're interested in selection packages. For tonight, Skee, I mean, I've said it already. So I'll say it again. I think Boston team total over 60 first half is worth a solid look here. I'll use that as the best bet for the show. I do think the first half gets over. I do think Indiana's team total gets over. But for best bet purposes, I'll use Boston first half team total over 60. To your point earlier, I didn't reiterate this part of it or build on that, but I will now, about Boston not shooting well the other night. Their 3-point shooting in the first half of that game was abysmal. I don't think Tatum or Brown made one. Horford was like 1 for 7. So they're a good 3-point shooting team. You have to believe that the positive regression is coming. I think it will come in this game as well. So I like it. I like Boston over 60 first half team total.
I think that's a good play. And we'll get back to how we used to do it, I guess. I'll have a similar play for my best bet. And like Rob said, all of our work at Wager Talk, you got the links to the description or links in the description of this video. My best bet for the show, I'll go with the first half. Best number you can get right now is 115.5. And I will take it up and over for a lot of the reasons that we talked about earlier. So, Veno, hopefully we lined up for a good reason once again. And appreciate you taking the time to come on the show. Yeah, I'll hit you up and we'll talk about tomorrow or next week or whatever we do. And you guys in the chat, we appreciate you as well. A lot of good information being shared here, and that's how we continue to beat the book. So best of luck if you tell. Good luck everybody on all your action. We'll catch you guys again tomorrow. Peace.